Hello everyone and welcome back to Fully Playable Games. So in today's video we are, well basically I'll get to it. I want to actually continue on with the sort of weekly videos that we've been doing where we've been sort of building out the games room. But instead of it just being solely dedicated on the games room, I want to actually morph this, change this, however we want to word it, as to sort of basically managing the collection, updating the games room, and yeah, just general sort of day-to-day of sort of having a video game collection. So in today's video we are going to be doing some updates that I wanted to do to the games room, but wasn't actually able to do them until now. And for those of you that have seen, obviously we are sitting in games room number 2, and the big reason for that is because this is where my computer is. But in addition to that, it is also where my 3D printer is. And yeah, that is going to form a big part of these videos going forward, because what I actually want to start doing is to start producing my own like stands and cartridge holders and everything like that. So in today's video what I want to do is, I'll be honest, I am pretty much brand new to 3D printing. I think I got the actual printer beginning part of last year, something like that. I've had it quite a while, and yeah, when I was sort of tinkering and sort of learning how to use it, what I ended up doing was actually breaking a part of it. And I ordered the replacement parts, but just never got round to fitting them. And then recently I was sort of sitting here after coming home from work, and I was like, do you know what, I'm just going to do it. So I pulled up a video of how to replace this part, went and done it, and I was like, finally, I can start getting my teeth into this. So what I want to do today is I'm going to start off, well, I say I'm going to start off small, but we're actually not. So first off, I want to make a couple of stands. So just above me, you'll see we've got the Nintendo shelf up here. On that shelf, we have actually got a couple of Game Boy Pockets. So what I want to do is I want to make a couple of stands to place them on. And then I also want to make the stands for my N-Gages up in the games room. But in addition to that as well, we're then going to get into probably the bits that's not going to be as simple. And that is going to be for the NES shelf. So at the moment, we've got the NES shelf sort of split into two. We've got the carts on one side and the bots, like completing bots games, the other. But the problem with the side with the carts on is they're all just stacked up. And then I've got an elaborate concoction of trunking behind that to actually hold the games at the front of the shelf. But one thing I've always wanted to do for that shelf since before I even put the games on it was I wanted to actually put in some cartridge holders. And yeah, I've managed to find a file online that will actually allow me to have 10 cartridges in the space for that shelf. So what I'm going to do is we're going to dive straight into it, and it's going to be, I'm going to show you a bit of what's involved with actually printing these. So I'm going to switch over to the PC now, and you'll see here this is a bit of software called Cura, or Unit Maker Cura. And what this essentially is, it's called a slicing tool. So what you'll do is you'll import an item. So what I'll do is I'll import the first one that we're going to do, which is this one. So this is a Game Boy Pocket stand. And you'll see there it's got Game Boy Pocket, and it's sort of the Game Boy and the Pocket bit sit proud. And then the Game Boy itself would just sit on here. And then what I have done is, ahead of time, I've gone through and I have updated all the settings. So in here, sorry, I've got my light in the way. We will set things like the layer height, so how high the printer actually prints the layer, how quick it will print it, infill material. So this bit here, what's going to be inside it? Is it just going to be empty air, or is there going to be a structure underneath it? Yeah, and a whole load of different bits. But for now, I'm not going to go into that because obviously this isn't a 3D printer tutorial. But what we are going to do is we're going to be doing the main part of what it's for. We're going to slice it. So you'll see here, it's syncing it. And it says it's going to take 2 hours and 35 minutes to print. So I've already put in my printer and everything like that. So the software knows what it's working with. But then what I can do is we can switch over to the preview tab. And don't worry too much about the colours. But what we can do is if I look at this bit on the side, we can actually subtract each of the layers. So you'll see there where I said about the infill, this is what I mean. So these sort of crisscross sort of lattices are going to be what are actually going to support the base. So yeah, that is basically the plan for that. And then all I'm going to do is just save to removable drive. That's then saved. And then what we'll do is we can transfer the SD cards into the 3D printer and it will just run the prints. But what I'm going to do is I'm not just going to do the Game Boy Pocket one. We are going to do them all. So I'll get them all imported now. Next up, we've got the N-Gage one. So once again, you'll see that the writing sort of sits up. And I will say straight off the bat, I haven't designed any of these. I am just about to start sort of dipping my toes into 3D modelling. For something that's we're going to be doing in a few weeks' time. So hopefully I can get the model that I want. But yeah, so we've got the N-Gage stand there, and yeah, there are loads of websites that you can go to actually download these models, and they're basically made by other people. So we'll see here, it's going to take 2 hours and 27 minutes. And what this is also what's good about these bits of software as well, is they actually tell you how much material you need. So you'll see here it's needing 23 grams of basically the 3D printer material, and this is basically all it is. So you'll see here it's literally just a long sort of strand, and what it does is it gets fed through the printer, and then there's the bit where it sort of starts to print. So what would be the print head on your sort of normal printer at home? What that actually does is it heats up and then starts laying the 3D print sort of down on the plate. The plate's also heated as well. So yeah, it's so interesting how it all works. But yeah, for now, what we're going to do is we're going to save the N-Gage stand. And then I will admit this next one I am dreading. And this is going to be the NES cart holders. So if I pull this in, and yeah, for some reason the bits of software don't really, yeah, they're a bit strange about how they load stuff in. So if we spin this round, you'll see there, we've got the sort of notches where the carts will sort of sit in. We've got a couple of sort of support braces across the top. But if we now slice this, and this is where sometimes 3D printing can be a bit more complicated. So if I... Right, there we go. So it's going to take 2 days, 17 hours and 13 minutes to print one of these. And we actually need 3. So if I preview it, and you will see where the so you probably can't tell what is what. So you've obviously got the bits around here which are the, so we've got, you see there, that is the basic structure. But then if we go to the preview tab, there's all this stuff in the middle. What that actually is, that is extra filament that's going to get put down to support these bits up the top and also the bits on the side. But what we can do is we can cheat a bit. So if I go back here, and instead of printing it like this, I am actually going to rotate it. So you'll see here, it's going to take 2 days, 17 hours. It's going to use 440 grams of filament. So if I just rotate that like that, and what I'm actually going to do is to turn it like that, so it actually prints with print. So this is going to be the front of the printer. So you want to be able to see what it's actually doing. So yeah, we had 2 days, 17 hours, 440 grams of material. And if we now look at it, there we go. 1 day and 3 hours. And it's going to do 225. So what we've done is we've halved the amount of print time, and then we've also halved the amount of material. And to be quite honest, that will basically mean that we will essentially get one of these for free, because yeah, we've essentially halved the amount of filament that we're going to use. So yeah, that's the way to see it. And if I now preview it, you'll actually see that it's this blue is the supports. So instead of the whole thing being filled with supports, these sort of support structures are now being printed on the base. And what I am going to do is I've got to make one quick change, and that is to just change this. There we go. And the reason that I've changed that, so what that does is when it first starts printing, it'll either print a loop around. So before we had a bit of print going all the way around here, whereas now we've got these little sort of skirts, basically, brims, whatever you want to call them. And looking at a lot of videos online, a lot of people that are way more experienced in 3D printing than me actually suggest to do this. It stops the corners sort of pulling up, basically. So yeah, they advise if you're doing sort of square items to basically print them like that. So yeah, that is going to take a while. So what I'm going to do is we're going to start off with the sort of the stands first, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to run these over a couple of nights. So yeah, what I'll do is we'll do a bit of a time lapse now of the different bits printing out, and then yeah, what I'll do is I'm only going to basically record one of each. So the plan is at the moment is to do 2 Game Boy Pocket stands, 2 N-Gage stands, and 3 NES cart stands. And what I'll do is after they've all printed, we'll come back and we'll have a look at the final result. So yeah, I will see you in a couple of days. Okay, so we have finally completed the prints. So yeah, these ones didn't take too long. As I say, they're about sort of between 2.5 3 hours a piece. You'll see here there are quite a bit of differences. So these are the first two that we printed. No, sorry, these are the first two. These are the second two. So yeah, we'll get to those in a minute. And then we've got the three stands as well. So yeah, to be quite honest, you look at them and they pretty much look exactly like they did on the screen. So I think this one's the first one. This is the second, and this is the third. They actually got progressively worse as they went on. But what I'm going to do is, for now, I'm just going to move these off to the side. And what we'll do is we will just have a look at these ones first. So I'll tell you what, I'll move those off and we'll look at the Game Boy Pocket ones. I will admit I am not displeased with them. But yeah, I think some of the detail on the actual Game Boy Pocket part could have been better. But I will probably say it's probably a limitation of my actual 3D printer than anything else. So that one, it's clean enough. I'm going to use that just as is. And then this one, yeah, it does, once again, looks pretty much exactly like the other one. As I say, the only issue we've got is this, which is actually called stringing. And yeah, this is basically when nozzle is going between. So what I should be able to do is literally just pull it all off like that. So I'll stick that there for the minute. And what I'm actually going to do is just going to grab a knife and just run it down the side of the print and basically just clean it up. So just make sure we get all of the sort of loose bit off. And same on this side, is just literally run the knife at the edge of the print. And there we go. Clean enough. Yeah, not too bad. So yeah, that's the two Game Boy ones done. So with the N-Gage one, I have to say I was actually a lot more disappointed with it. So I don't know how much you can see on the camera. If I put it off to the side, you might see it a bit more. So you'll see that the N and the dot are sitting quite proud, but the actual gauge bit is actually doesn't sit up as much, and it doesn't really stand out as much. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use it. But I think I will try and get hold of some red paint and literally just paint over the actual letters just to make it stand out a bit. As I say, for now, I think that's the sort of best that I'm going to get on the type of printer that I've got. And yeah, you'll see this one is all right. So this one I'm just going to put straight over there. But the other one is, so the lettering on the front has come out about the same. But obviously we've then got all of this stringing again. So what we're going to do is this time, instead of sort of pulling it off, I'm just going to just run the knife straight down. And hopefully it all comes loose. There we go. And then same on the other side. So there's that, and then there is some at the front as well, which should just come off. So I will admit, I don't know if there is a sort of proper sort of post-print sort of process that you should sort of follow. But yeah, literally They've been sitting on the side for a couple of days, and yeah, that one is now good to go. So let me just brush this lot off into the bin, and then we can turn our attention to the first of the NES stands. So obviously it printed that way up, but we're actually going to be using it that way up. But you will see it just doesn't look like it did in the picture. And that is, first off, we have got all of the sort of structure material just down the side here. So we've got to take that out. We've got material down the back here as well that needs to come out. So you'll see there, it's all coming out. It's all sort of flaking out fairly easily, which is what it's designed to do. And then we've got our sort of bezel that sort of goes around the top here as well. So what I do is I'm going to peel this bit, top bit off first. I'll try and do it without, yeah. So just make sure that we've got all of the bezel off. So I think there's a bit of a sort of lip there. There we go. And you'll see here there's also a load of like stringing and everything like that. So I think I'm going to get that dealt with afterwards. Yeah, don't know too much about sort of what this all is, but I'll take these out. I don't know what these actually were meant to do, but yeah, as I say, they fall out quite easily. Right, so now we've got to deal with all of the sort of support structures. So these should, in theory, just pop straight out. I'm hoping that I don't break anything because, as I say, this was a really long print. What I did actually end up doing was I did tweak the print for the second two, and yeah, I did actually get the time down by a significant amount. So I think originally, what was it? It was a day, sort of a day and 3 hours, and I think for subsequent the other two prints, I actually managed to get it down to about 17 hours, just by sort of adjusting the layer height. And also the print speed. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get all of the sort of big bits out. I think that bit there is part of the structure, so that's fine. So what I'm going to do is just going to speed through getting all this out, and then yeah, we'll come back in a sec. Okay, so after what feels like ages, we finally got all of the support filament off and everything like that. So yeah, for now I'm going to leave it like this. As I say, I think it looks all right. So yeah, as I say, so there isn't perfect along that side. I don't know if you can actually see it on the camera, but yeah, there's a couple of bits that didn't look like they adhered too great. This side looks all right. And I don't think we've got anything like that on the other ones. There might be a couple of lines on sort of one of the sides. Yeah, but equally not too worried, because all you're going to actually see is that part. All the rest is going to be actually on the shelf. So yeah, that is that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm not going to record doing the other ones, because yeah, this took ages. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sit here tonight, get the other two clean and ready to put up on the shelf. And then, yeah, what we'll do now is we will have a look through a couple of new additions that I've picked up. Okay, so that is going to wrap up our trip to CEX. And I will admit, I do have to be honest, I did also pop out to one other place, but I didn't actually film it. And yeah, managed to pick up a game that I've been wanting to pick up for a while. But first off, what we're going to do is we're going to dive into the CEX pickup. So yeah, I'll be honest, I was looking around, didn't really see anything that was sort of jumping out at me across any of the platforms really. But yeah, I did manage to find something. And to say that this was a game that I've been struggling to get is probably a good way to describe it. And it was cart only, and I'll explain why I've got cart only in a minute. But that is Blast Corps on the N64. So released in 1997 by Rare. This was actually Rare's first game for the N64. Its development team ranged between 4 and 7 members, many of whom were recent graduates. In the game, the player controls vehicles to destroy buildings such as farms and other structures in the path of a runaway nuclear missile carrier. The game received universal acclaim according to Metacritic and received unanimous critical success. Now, the reason that this game has been a bit of a nightmare is because I actually got the box off of, and I think it is just the box. I'm not sure whether I've got the manual in it or not. Let's have a quick look. So what actually happened with this was I got the box off of a reseller, and I was like, yeah, I'll pick the car up at some point. Yeah, it is just a box, and I can't remember where it was. I think it might have been CEX. I was in there. It was in my local CEX, and I saw a copy. Decided to grab it, got it home, and then realised that it wasn't the right game. It was actually what I'd actually picked up was Body Harvest and not Blast Corps. So it started with the same letter. That's how I'm going to justify it. But yeah, so didn't end up picking it up. Then I was back in CEX about 6 months after that. Saw Body Harvest complete in box on the shelf. I was like, well, I've got the box, but do you know what? I'm just going to grab it. And ended up doing it for a second time. So yeah, this time I made sure that it was the right game that I was picking up. But as I say, it was a game that I've been wanting to give a go to for a while. Now, I know I could have played it on the rare replay on the Xbox One, but yeah, I will admit I am not a massive fan of that, purely because of borders. I'm not a big fan of games that do borders. And when I actually played this, it was not what I was expecting at all. So all the footage that I'd ever seen of this was you out in front of the runaway missile, and you're basically having to destroy buildings before this truck hits the buildings. And that's what I was expecting. I was expecting each level to be slightly different with the same sort of premise. But I played the first sort of 3 or 4 levels, and none of them had the missile carrier in it. Yeah, so I don't know what level or whereabouts in the game this missile carrier level features, but I just couldn't find it. Now, yeah, it was, as I say, I was really underwhelmed playing it because it just wasn't what I was expecting. While it is sort of fun to sort of run through the buildings, I did start getting bored, as you just had to drive around and try and find the different items that you needed to complete the level. And at one point I had to do basically a grid search of the whole level to basically find a stack of wood, because the status said that I still had one building left to sort of destroy. So yeah, I will admit it was a bit, I was a bit disappointed, shall we say, because as I say, it wasn't what I was expecting when I'd seen it elsewhere. Managed to pick it up cart only from CEX for £8, and obviously it is, I do have the box, so it will be going straight in the box. Box with no manual goes for £25 on both CEX and eBay. And yeah, what I will do is I probably will look to try and get hold of the manual at some point. Then the next game that I picked up, I actually went into Smith's after, like, later that evening, and I managed to pick up Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Rita's Rewind. So this is a 2024 beat 'em up, and there is an action-adventure side-scrolling video game with occasional on-rail segments. The gameplay features a mix of combat, puzzle solving, and exploration across iconic locations from the franchise. The Power Rangers faced off against a robotic reincarnation of the Power Rangers' long-term nemesis, Rita Repulsa, Robo Rita, who hails from a distant future. The game received average scores across Metacritic, scoring a 70 out of 100. And this was a game that I have been wanting to play for ages. So when it was first released, I was seeing very mixed reactions to it. But after a few weeks, those reactions started to go in a more positive direction. I was, and probably still am, a massive fan of the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers growing up. So I wanted to see for myself how this actually played. And what I do love about this, I love the mix of sort of gameplay styles it had. Obviously, the main levels are your standard sort of beat 'em up fare. But then when you get to the boss levels, it actually switches up from switches up to first basically a run and gun shooter, and then you switch to a first person fighter with sort of QTEs. And yeah, it just blew my expectations out the window. I'm so glad to actually finally have it in the collection. But yeah, definitely night and day between my expectations of Blast Corps and my expectations of Power Rangers. So I actually managed to pick this up brand new from Smith's for $14.99. Looking it up online, it goes for £20 at CEX and £25 on eBay. Then the next pickup that I've got is actually a limited run pickup that I pre-ordered a few months ago. So this is Trigger Heart Excelia Enhanced, released in 2023, or released digitally in 2023. It has recently had its physical release through Limited Run. And this is a vertical side-scrolling shooter. In an unknown alien galaxy, far away from the Milky Way, a war is raging. Two humanoid soldiers belonging to the Trigger Heart Strike team were busy fighting during an attack when a portal opened and sucked them in. The game was first released in Japan, or released in Japanese arcades in May 2006. It was later ported to the Dreamcast, becoming the system's penultimate licensed title when it was released in Japan in February 2007. The game involves one of two I can never do this word, anthropomorphic fighters to battle against the 5 stages of enemy ships. So I actually ordered this on the 23rd of November, and the estimated ship date was the 31st of March, or up to the 31st of March. And yeah, I think I received it probably about a week and a half before filming this video. And I will admit, I'm probably becoming a bit of a broken record now, but as I've said so many times in recent videos, for some reason, I just keep buying shooters. I don't know what's going on at the moment. There just seems to be a steady stream of them coming out. This one is different. That it's the first sort of Japanese-style vertical shooter that I've bought and played. I don't think I've got any of the other. I think the closest to this I've got was I can never remember the name of it. Is it 1954? The sort of vertical shooter. But I have to say I absolutely love this. Even though this is a remaster, I had so much fun playing it, from the graphics to the gameplay and the music. This ticked all the boxes for me. I'm going to be jumping back into this as soon as I finish filming today, because yeah, I just enjoyed it so much. And yeah, definitely happy to have that one. Even more so the fact that it's on the Switch, so that I can now take it out and about with me as well. So I actually paid $46.97 direct from Limited Run. Looking it up online, it's currently selling for about £70 on eBay. As per normal with the Limited Run games, the price just skyrockets as soon as the pre-orders wrap up. But before we get into the next couple of games we've got, I want to give a bit of an update actually. So where we're starting this new weekly vlog series. One of the things, I'm going to just lock my chair because it keeps rocking back. One of the things that I'm actually going to start doing is like what I'm doing with my pickup videos, the ones where I just go through the random pickups that I make from like eBay, Amazon and everything like that. I'm actually going to start including the 3 core consoles for this year. So we've got the Wii U, the Mega Drive and the GameCube. I'm going to make sure that in these videos as well, I'm going to try and have a new addition for those 3 consoles in every video. Yeah, I know. So today I have got some new, new games for those consoles. But yeah, what I just wanted to let you know, that is my plan going forward. Is that obviously with the pickup videos and the weekly vlogs, I just want to try and start sort of ticking off as many of the sort of low-hanging fruit that I can. So at the moment, when I'm looking at games, I'm looking at the sort of anything up to sort of £10. And that's my aim at the moment, is to just try and get the low-hanging fruit, and then I can start looking at the sort of the higher price games. Obviously, if I do come across one that I really want, that ends up coming up cheap, I will jump in and grab it. I'm not saying that I'm not going to pick up higher price games, but at the moment my main focus is sort of along getting the sort of low-hanging fruit, so that we can really start focusing on some of the other titles later on. But first off, we have got our Wii U game for the week, and that is Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens. It's released in 2016 by TT Fusion. The gameplay of Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens is similar to the previous Lego games. New systems were introduced, including multi-builds, which grant the player access to various building options. The plot closely follows that of Star Wars The Force Awakens, although numerous deviations or minor changes to adapt to two-player gameplay. The game received mostly positive reviews, and the Wii U version actually scored a 74 out of 100 on Metacritic. And I will admit, I have played this before on other consoles. And I'll be honest, as per normal with the LEGO games, this was exactly the same across any of the consoles that I've played it on. I did find it a bit disappointing that the developer did not utilise the gamepad at all. There was no special displays, just a mirror of what you were seeing on the TV. The good thing with the LEGO games is you pretty much know what you're getting when you go into them, and no matter what film franchise they're covering, it's very basic across the board. But what I will say is LEGO, Stranger Things LEGO game. Just saying. But yeah, for LEGO The Force Awakens, pick that up for $5.72 off eBay. Goes for $3.50 at CEX and £6, or normally goes for £6 on eBay. Then next up we have got our Mega Drive game, and just like with the pickups videos, the Mega Drive and the GameCube will always be complete in box. With the Wii U, there are quite a few that don't have manuals, so yeah, I'm not massively fussed if I don't have a manual in there. But for our Mega Drive title, we have got Balls 3D. And yes, it is probably one of the most interesting titles that we've had. So this was released in 1994 by PF Magic. And the game offers 3 different levels over a total of 21 matches. Its distinguishing quality was that each of the characters was composed completely of spears, giving the game a pseudo 3D look. The Mega Drive version was originally intended for use with the Edge 16, a modem system for multiplayer gaming, which was eventually cancelled. Electronic Gaming Monthly gave the Mega Drive version a 6.2 out of 10, commenting that the fighters were interesting with their various taunts and other poses. The whole idea is innovative, but in the end just never really came together. And yeah, to say that the game has the most appropriate name would be an understatement. It is balls. The balance is absolutely awful, and your opponent has such a reach that it's nearly impossible to get in close. Graphically, it does look good for a Mega Drive game, but that's basically where the positive points end for me. And yeah, bit disappointed with this one. I was expecting it to be a bit better than what it was. But ended up picking that one up for £9.50 off eBay. And looking it up online, CEX didn't actually have it listed. And on eBay, it normally sells for about £10. So, yeah, not a big saving, but equally nice to have another new Mega Drive game for the collection. And then our final game for today is a very interesting one. And that is Catwoman on the GameCube. So released in 2004 by Argonaut Games. The game is a third-person action platformer where the player must use the heroine's cat-like strength and ability to travel through various environments and defeat various enemies. The game loosely follows the story of the movie. Patience Phillips, a shy office worker who accidentally discovers her employer's dark secret and is subsequently murdered. Similar to the film based on Catwoman, the game received negative reviews from critics due to problems including bad camera control, poor voice work, and an simplific combat system. And going into capturing the gameplay, I was sure that I'd played this before, but actually playing it, it just didn't feel familiar. I have to say that the game is just as bad as the film. Or to say that the game is just as bad as the film would be an understatement. The controls are the weirdest I've ever seen, with the yellow thumbstick being the attack button. And I just think that they had tried to squeeze too many moves into the controller. The graphics are fine, but nothing stand out for the time. And yeah, it was I'll be honest, it was not a game that I went into it with high hopes, knowing the sort of quality of the film itself. But yeah, it is another new GameCube game for the collection. And what I am going to do is probably in a few weeks' time, I'm going to actually try and do a review video where we go through all three of the consoles and yeah, just have a look at the games that we've got, what we've got left to do, and just sort of get general numbers on sort of where we are with the collection. But for now, what we're going to do is we are going to get our new 3D prints out on the shelves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off in the office, and we're going to get the Game Boy Pocket, the Game Boy Pockets on their stand. So at the moment, they're just there behind the gaming watches. So what I'm going to do is going to get the camera moved. I'm going to jiggle about my lights just so you can make sure it's well lit. And yeah, we'll get those put up. I'm probably going to have a bit of a juggle around with the shelf just to try and give them a bit more prominence. But yeah, let me get the camera moved and then we can have a look from there. Okay, so as I say, I'm going to have a bit of a sort of jig about up here because yeah, I want to actually get these a bit more to the front so that they're not hidden behind. More so as well, so we can actually see some of the sort of the nameplate at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is, for now, I'm going to just move this up the top here. And if I move... So I'm not too worried about the Game Boy watch, but do want to have the gaming watches a bit more on display. Okay, yeah, I think that's going to work, actually. Yeah, I like that actually, because we've got, you still see all of the gaming watches, and then we can put that one there, and then we'll get the other one for the Hello Kitty. Yeah, I think that looks alright, doesn't it? So yeah, we've got the gaming watches there, sort of front and back, which is good. I mean, the only thing that I don't like is that it does obscure the Game Boy Advance. But what we could do is potentially move that forward. So if we move the pink DS to the back, which, yeah, I'm not worried about that, and have the Game Boy Advance there. So you can still see the DS, and yeah, that's not them being obscured. Yeah, yeah, I think that'll do, won't it? Right, what I want to do actually before we head up to the games room, a bit of, there's not spring cleaning, I can't think of the right word. But one thing I did forget to do while we were doing the giveaways, while we were doing the pickups, was to mention the giveaway. There you go, I'll get there in a minute. So this week's prize was a bit of a battered copy of the Sword of Camelot on the PS1. So this is a partly sealed game. As I say, as you can see, the seal isn't in great condition, but it is a PS1 game. And the winner of this week's giveaway is, I'm going to put it just here, just because I'm filming this video a couple of days ahead of the Friday deadline. So if you are the winner, if you can reach out to me on either Facebook or Instagram, what we'll do is we'll get you verified, and then we'll get your prize sent out to you in the post. I should be able to get that out to you on Monday. So yeah, massive congratulations, and yeah, we will be back on Tuesday with another giveaway. I'm not too sure what it's going to be because yeah, we're going to be back down in the second games room because we're actually going to be going through all of the consoles that I've picked up recently. So we've had quite a few that we've picked up from boot fairs for really cheap pricing. And yeah, I want to see what works, what don't, and what ones that we can actually fix. So that's going to be in Tuesday's video. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all the camera and everything moved back up to the main games room. And then what we'll do is we will get the N-Gage stands put out, and then also get the Nintendo stands put out. I will admit, I've been thinking today, I think I might have made a mistake with these cartridge holders. So obviously I've printed them out in black. I do actually have, I've got my filament just here. I do actually have grey, and I'm thinking that probably would have been better on a white shelf, but we'll see when we get up there. So I will catch up with you in a minute, and then yeah, we'll get all of the new updates put out. So starting off with the N-Gage shelf, what we're going to be doing is swapping out these plastic or the see-through plastic stands that we've had. And yeah, the plan is to basically put each of them on one of the 3D printed ones. So I'm probably going to try and just lay them out the same way that I did before. And I'm hoping that they're not... Okay, so I'm thinking that this design is probably more meant for the original N-Gage. But yeah, I don't think that looks too bad. As I said, what I am going to do is I'm going to basically get some paint and actually just paint over the top of the letters just to make it sort of stand out a bit. But I will admit, I am also looking at and considering obviously replacing my 3D print, and now that I've started to get into it, and I will admit I have been bitten by the 3D printing bug. So what I might do is look to redo these as and when I get a new printer, and I probably will redo the NES ones when we get to it as well. But yeah, I will admit, much more happier. The one that I do want to find is one for the Evercade. So yeah, I've looked online. I can't see any that are pre-made at the moment. So yeah, for now it's going to have to stay on that. But yeah, happy with that. I will admit in future videos we're potentially going to be redoing this whole bookcase. Or not necessarily the whole book, so I'll leave these two up here. But definitely going to be doing a lot of work on these bottom three shelves. But that is going to be for the future. I'm not worried about it right this minute. But yeah, let me get switched over to the other camera, and what we'll do is we'll get the NES carts in, and then that probably wrap us up for today. So I will admit I am looking forward to seeing how the NES carts are going to look. So yeah, give me 2 seconds. Okay, so time for the moment of truth. But before we actually get to putting the carts in, there are a couple of things that I've got to do. So first off, we have currently got the cart stacks are actually 11 high, where our new racks are only 10 high. So yes, we're going to have to accommodate for that. One thing I have just realised that I haven't thought of is the extra space. So we're probably going to end up having to take away one of the box games, because if you look, obviously the carts are all relatively close together going across. But obviously with the racks, we're going to have a bit either side that we're going to have to accommodate for. So yeah, we will see with that. But looking through, so I've got to take out three of the games. And I will admit, this has always been difficult. The Nintendo is always a difficult one for me. So I am going to take that one out. So it's wrestling. We know what the rule for wrestling is on the channel. Then what else have we got? So Rad Racer, Rad Gravity, RC Pro-Am. Do you know what? I'm going to take RC Pro-Am out. If I can get it out with the sleeve. So what I am going to have to do as well is I'm going to have to remove the carts from the sleeves, but they'll all go behind. Right, so we've got one more that we've got to trim down. Batman, Battle of Olympus, Battletoads, Days of Thunder, Digger. I do not know. I'll tell you what, actually, for now, I'm going to pull out Gyromite. Just because I don't have the Rob the Robot to actually use it with. It is something that's on the list to get, but once again, it's the cost of them at the moment. So what I'm going to do now is I'm literally just going to lift them all out. Yeah, I'm going to lift them all out, but I'm going to keep them in their piles just because they are all in alphabetical order. It just means then I haven't got to reorder them as I put them back in. But you'll see there, we do have carts behind already. So, yes, right. Right, so let's see. I have measured these. So they should go in fine. Yep, they do. But obviously they're not as deep for some reason. So let me get a cart. I'm just going to grab any one for the minute. Okay, so they don't sit right the way in. So what I am going to do is I am going to push them up against the back. So that'll be fine. So if we get the second one in, and then the third, which I don't think will go in. Oh, it might do. Yeah, okay, that will be all right. Right, so what I'm going to do is, let's get these filled from the bottom. Okay, so I think, yeah. So it's just a bit tight on the edge. So there's quite a few of these as well as having the sleeves. We do have the manuals as well. So I'm not getting rid of anything, it'll all go behind. But yeah, I mean, once we've got everything in, it should all sit a lot better. So actually looking at it with like the gap there, they actually do fit in really well. But as I say, this is, once again, it is only going to be temporary. Well, not, well, temporary-ish, because obviously I need to get the new printer before I can do anything. And at the moment, that is a distant dream with the cost of it. But what I am thinking, so there you go, they're all in now. And I will say, yes, massively, much more happy with how they're sitting. But will these, yes, so I can actually get these games back on top. So what I think I will do, I'm not going to do it on camera. I'll juggle it about off camera, but I probably will put one sort of sleeved game across the top here. So yeah, it does actually then go right away, because I don't like, it's a double-edged sword really, because at the moment, without having anything up the top, it sits flush with the box games, but I'm then losing 3 games from the top. So yeah, I mean, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reorganise it to get these 3 carts back in, and then have, as I say, we'll have 3 sort of sleeved carts up the top there. But yes, so that is going to wrap it up for today. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you think? What do you think of 3D printing stands and everything like that? Is it something you've done? If it is something that you've done and they're coming out in a better quality than the ones that I've got, let me know what printer you're using, because at the moment I've got a printer in mind. It's actually, I think it's been out for about 18 months now. But yeah, I'm always interested to find out what other printers people are using, because yeah, this is going to be something that we're going to be doing a lot more of, because yeah, I've got quite a few changes in mind, just sort of tweaks here and there to sort of give us more room and things like that. But yeah, we are going to be doing a bit more 3D printing. I think I've got some bits for next week. I've got one bit in particular that I want to get dealt with next week. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below, what do you think of the bits that we've set up today? And yeah, once again, if you are the winner of today's giveaway, don't forget to ping me over a message on either Facebook or Instagram. And yes, so if you did enjoy the video, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you're not already, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell to be kept up to date when I upload new videos. Also, if you are watching on mobile, don't forget to hit that hype button to help spread the video to more people. And yeah, with that said, thank you so much for watching today. Really hope you enjoyed the video. And I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye.